Hello there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Jedi Knights, Episode 3. I'm your moderator, Christian Buckley. Joining me once again is Mike Connors.
It's a pleasure to be here, as always.
I'm happy to have you here. I think your presence makes the show better because...
Thank you.
because, one, if it wasn't you, I would just be talking to a wall.
Okay,
And
fair.
to actually give you a compliment, you know so much about Star Wars.
Well, I appreciate that. I think you know more about Star Wars than you think you do, Christian.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I will gladly take that. Pat Maroney will not be joining us this week. He's off on assignment. But our assignment today is to tackle a light week of Star Wars news.
Yeah, I mean, we had two pretty heavy weeks
Yeah.
these past two episodes, but this
Yeah.
week is not so bad.
Yeah, so full disclosure, we were expecting... We're recording this on a Tuesday this week because of how scheduling worked out, and we were hoping that the trailer for Episode 9 would debut Monday Night Football the night of the 14th.
You said hoping. I was like literally praying.
Oh, yeah. Did not happen, so a later news week than I was expecting.
Yeah.
But we'll get into all of that. Before we do, though, we're going to kick the show off the way that we've been doing so far every week, with a game called Fire the Cannon, where I supply us with a tweet-sized recap of a piece of Star Wars canon that is no longer canon.
Cool.
We talk about it for a bit, decide if it's worthy of being brought into the main canon, adapted, retooled, or just recognized again, or if the Disney purchase was valid in its firing of this canon.
Exactly, yeah.
So we fire the cannon, being destroy it, make it canon means we like it.
What's it going to be this week?
This week is a little series called Star Wars Clone Wars.
Okay.
And I know what you're thinking. Star Wars Clone Wars, that's canon. That is Star Wars The Clone Wars.
It's all in the name, folks.
It is. Let me get into it. Jendi Tartakovsky, who is notable for Samurai Jack, very good cartoon, delivered a television micro-series detailing the events of the Clone Wars between episodes 2 and 3, bridged the gap between the two films during the gap between film releases. This series was the first appearance of one General Grievous, and it introduced us to Asajj Ventress.
Mm-hmm.
The series lasted for 25 episodes across 3 seasons, but now is no longer considered canon in favor of the Clone Wars.
Okay.
So I have a fondness for this series. I watched it as a child. I have both volumes on DVD, and I think I thought it was neat because I liked the style of Samurai Jack. I liked seeing Star Wars portrayed in this way. I thought there were a lot of very nice, quiet moments. I liked the introduction of General Grievous from memory. This past weekend, I sent it to you. I also sent it to Pat.
Yeah.
Because it is on YouTube. You can watch it, the entire thing.
Yeah, in its entirety.
You got about, would you say halfway through?
I would say like halfway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do have a vague familiarity with this.
Mm-hmm.
This series did feature some voice talent that did make their way over to Clone Wars.
Yeah, notably Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Okay. I have to say the person who did Anakin's voice, really bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it in line with Hayden Christensen?
No, it's like more whiny, like
Okay.
if that's even possible.
Okay.
But
So I guess the pitch this week for making a canon or firing this canon is just an alternate take on the Clone Wars, because the Clone Wars we have really fleshes out Anakin and the prequel cast, I guess, as characters. But from what I've seen of the Clone Wars series, as much as I like it, and I'm planning on binging it when we get it later this year on Disney Plus, there's a disconnect in me, because it feels like this Anakin is not the Anakin that I know from the films.
the Anakin and the Star Wars Clone Wars.
No, Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Oh, got it.
I think Star Wars Clone Wars Anakin in my head, because he's more whiny, because he's working with what 2 supplied.
Mm-hmm.
It makes more sense that this is the progression of Anakin in my head
Right.
than this wise young Jedi who trained a Padawan, and then come episode 3, he's back to normal, you know?
Right. I mean, I think with Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Clone Wars, the latter, what I watched at least, seems like it could fit into the canon series.
Yeah.
maybe the characters aren't
Mhm.
necessarily like the same representation. Like you said, Anakin is a little bit more whiny
Yeah.
in Clone Wars
Mhm.
rather than the Clone Wars. But I could see this being maybe like an earlier episode of the Clone Wars, like in
Mhm.
an earlier season.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't necessarily think that I would want to put this in canon on its own,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Let me make a pitch to you of how I think it could work.
Okay.
If, for a hypothetical sake of our fun little game, we struck Star Wars The Clone Wars, the film, from the
Okay.
canon,
Yeah.
and replace it with this,
Okay.
where we do get the more whiny Anakin, and then by season 1, episode 1 of The Clone Wars, we have the more developed Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
I think that might be a nice happy medium, because if you're remembering the Star Wars The Clone Wars film, which introduced us to Ahsoka and this style of Star Wars series,
Can I say that I've never watched that?
it's not great.
Okay. Well, I just want to put it on the record that I've never seen that movie, which is like a bad thing to say. But
That was the first Star Wars movie I saw in theaters.
okay. Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it very much.
Like when you watched it?
I had a fun time because it was like, oh, Star Wars in the movie theater, but
Right.
like rewatching it after the fact, I was like, ooh, this is kind of rough.
I mean, like you haven't seen much of the Clone Wars
I've
TV show.
I've seen about a season.
Okay, so how does it compare?
I think the show is better
Okay.
significantly.
All right.
But I want to give a quick shout out. Cantina Conversations, another Star Wars podcast. They are reviewing that because that film is canon because the series is canon.
Yeah.
So they're reviewing it. Shout out to Will Beeman,
Yeah. Shout out.
DJ, and Jackson.
Cool.
But so what do we want to fire this cannon? We haven't fired any cannon yet, but I feel like you're not too hot on it.
I'm not too hot on it. You know, when I watched it, like it just didn't like catch my attention
Yeah.
as like the Clone Wars has. And like I should also note that I haven't seen the entirety of the Clone Wars,
Yeah. Okay.
but I've seen a significant portion of it,
Mhm.
at least, and that I like that representation of the characters better.
Okay.
And I don't know if this would really fit necessarily.
That's fair.
Maybe take some of the locations and the storylines out of this and kind of adapt them.
Yeah.
I could see that working.
Yeah, because I'll go with you on this because it has been a long time since I've watched it. I haven't had a chance to revisit it. Potentially we could in the future.
Yeah.
But if I think we should fire the cannon.
I think we should fire this game.
But if they did want to adapt a story like this with a de-aged Ewan McGregor and a de-aged Hayden Christensen, I would be kind of interested.
Like how
I'll
they
say
did,
that.
like they did Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we fired the cannon on that one.
Yeah. Fire
Sorry.
the cannon.
First story.
Okay.
Again, it's a light week, so be prepared for a different kind of episode today.
We don't make the news, folks. We
I
just
was-
talk about it.
I was prepared to discuss that for another 20 minutes.
Wait, what?
The Star Wars Clone Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll talk about it all day.
Oh, no. We have some things we can talk about.
All right.
John Boyega, fan of him.
Sure.
He's a cool guy.
Totally.
I like how active he is in the Star Wars fan base.
Yeah, he just seems like
He's passionate.
he just seems like a geek, honestly.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love him on social media. Like I said before we got into our game, we were expecting, praying in some cases,
Oh yeah.
for the episode 9 trailer. John Boyega tweeted, I believe Monday morning, addressing the Star Wars community about said trailer.
I just love how he does that.
I know,
I
yeah.
love how that's a thing.
So I'll read, he had 2 tweets, I combined them here. He said, SW fans, I don't know when the trailer is coming out and I haven't made any announcements about it, so let's just wait for the studio to release it. I definitely think it's soon though. Release is around the corner, so I'm sure the gears are in motion. That's my honest take on it for now. Relax. With a few emojis sprinkled in here or there.
Sure.
But yeah, we were talking about this before the show. At this point, because the reason we were so dead set on the trailer coming out is because for The Last Jedi, October 10th was the final trailer for the film. It makes sense that we would get our official full trailer, the one that shows too much,
Yeah.
around now.
Right. They also did it for The Force Awakens too,
They did.
on Monday Night Football.
Yes, and Disney likes the synergy of the brand. We covered this a lot of the reasoning on this last week. So There's only a couple games left in October.
Yeah.
Literally, there's 2, right?
Yeah, they can't wait till November.
Yeah.
That's too late.
That's way too late.
Yeah.
So I do think next week I would be cautiously optimistic.
I would say that, and this comes from literally like no like there's no scientific backing to this at all, but I'd say 95%.
Okay.
95% chance it's going to be.
Is that Patriots Jets?
It is Patriots Jets.
Okay.
And I'll be watching. Go Jets.
I feel like I have to say go Patriots. I'm from New England, so I don't follow football much, but
as someone who is from Long Island, I have to say go Jets.
Okay, that's fair. Are you going to watch this trailer?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I don't think I could like physically restrain myself from not clicking on it and watching it.
I've tried in the past.
Yeah.
I like being media blackout on a lot of things because I'll never forget the original Avengers. There was a trailer I watched at least like 25 times. At some point in the trailer, Hulk jumps up in the air, catches Iron Man, falls on his shoulder. There's a moment, spoilers for Avengers from 2012.
I don't even think you need to do that.
I just like being considerate.
All right.
There's a moment where Iron Man is making a hero sacrifice. He's flying up into this wormhole with a nuke. He's like, I got to do it. It's only me. I'm the only one who can do this. He sends it up into space, falls as a wormhole to space is closing after he delivers that payload. Is he going to make it? He's falling. He's falling. Oh, wait. The Hulk catching Iron Man shot hasn't happened yet. 5 seconds later, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of cases, especially, I feel like Disney's been a little better about it since then, but yeah, there's just something that freaks me out, especially on the third trailer for something that like, that's when you get into the territory of like, we're really trying to sell this to people that aren't sold yet. So we got to show as much as we can. I would like to say though, that I will try to wait as long as I can so we can react and watch this trailer together. I know it might be hard for you.
I don't know.
We could do it over like a call or something.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I could wait like that long.
If we get lucky, maybe like we just have to record late that day, but
yeah,
I'm fine doing a call, getting in a call, because I want to watch it with you.
Yeah, I would like to watch it with you too.
Okay.
But I don't know if I can wait days to watch.
Oh, no. Okay. So yeah, we can figure something out, but I would like to get you and Pat on a call and we can watch that thing together.
Absolutely. Can I opine about something really quick?
Sure.
The thing about Star Wars trailers, I haven't had the experience that they spoil too much. I think for The Last Jedi, there were some questionable shots, but they were all taken just extremely out of context.
Yeah.
I guess you can call that spoilers in air quotes, like just because like it's a part of the movie that you haven't seen before and it like shows a part of the story. But if it's taken out of context, you watch that trailer and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And part of the reason why I like watching the trailers is because I just really like the hype behind it. Okay. And it kind of builds that anticipation for me because like I've seen like little trinkets of it, Yeah. And also I don't think I can physically restrain myself.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I tried very hard with The Force Awakens. I got far.
Yeah.
I think I didn't watch that third trailer.
Okay.
But with Last Jedi, I was like, you know what? I feel it's just so much of a struggle to try and not see these things because people are going to be tweeting. People are going to find memes that just exist until the movie's out. That I just accept it and go with it because it does feel like an event. It's a Star Wars movie. A trailer for a new Star Wars movie should feel like an event.
Right, totally.
So that in itself, like you're saying, is something to be there for.
Yeah. A lot of the reason why I like the new Star Wars movies is because there's so much hype behind it. And if I don't watch the trailer, then it's like I'm missing out on some of that hype.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely get that.
Yeah.
I think also something you said about pulling shots out of context, I think we already have a strong example of that for what we have seen of Episode 9.
Right.
Specifically, spoilers if you're media blackout, the shot of Rey with the red lightsaber in the hood.
Totally, yeah.
That's 100% out of context.
All of them are, though.
Right,
That's the thing.
Like something like that's put in for shock value.
Right, totally.
We
have no idea what that even means.
A slight tangent here.
Sure.
I'm a fan of Easy Allies. They're a YouTube channel that cover mostly gaming.
Not familiar, but...
one of the members of that group, Kyle Bossman, has this thing that he always tells into the void, perhaps, but he says that a good trailer for a project to get excited about should have this in it. It's called a Doc Brown spider monster.
What?
Exactly.
Okay.
So the idea is that, say they announce Back to the Future 4.
Okay.
Nobody wants to see that.
Right.
Nobody at all wants to see a Back to the Future 4.
No.
But if the trailer ends and it's a close-up of Doc Brown's face and he's like, Marty, I need help. And then it like goes to a wide shot and it's Doc Brown's head on a giant like gross spider monster. Hard cut, date. You get people talking.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That blows up. That goes on Twitter. That trends.
Right.
I think the instance of that trailer that we saw recently for episode 9 of Rey with the double red lightsaber is a Doc Brown spider monster.
Definitely. I mean, we have no idea what that means.
I could not escape that if I wanted to. I saw that everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the third and final trailer for episode 9 will have something akin to that.
A good friend of both of ours, Jack Martin, for The Last Jedi, he did not watch the final trailer.
Props to him.
Props to him. And I honestly don't know how he did it because he was very active on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he maintained his blackout.
Yeah.
And, I don't even think that would be possible for me.
You really got to mute like every single variation of those words that you can think of.
Yep.
I recently did that for Death Stranding, the new Hideo Kojima game.
Okay.
It's been hard. I'm still seeing Death Stranding stuff in my timeline because like every single day I see a new like variation of something I have to block to not see information about this.
That's wild.
Yeah. It's hard. It's a hard life to live, but I do think sometimes it pays off for like visual imagery, getting a treat of new things, new planets to see. Because a lot of Star Wars that's exciting is the landscapes.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we didn't know about Crate in The Last Jedi, and then all of a sudden they just go onto this salt mining planet, I feel like that visual imagery going along with the marketing of the entire thing, which was red and white, would have made so much more sense. It would have been a really cool reveal.
Right.
I think it's hard for trailer companies and films in general, to have that much restraint because you do have to sell your product.
Mm-hmm.
So implementing that choice on myself,
Right.
I think sometimes does give a benefit, but I'm with you mostly.
One more point.
Yeah.
I have faith that J.J. Abrams would not allow something in a trailer that absolutely gives away.
Oh yeah. I don't think
a major plot point. We did not see that with The Force Awakens. If you look back on the trailer, it's
incredibly restrained.
It's super restrained. I mean, we didn't know that Rey was a Jedi until the movie came out.
Yeah,
let's be honest here.
We all thought it was gonna be Finn.
Yeah,
because of the trailer.
Yeah, he's the king of misdirection.
Yeah, for better or for worse, I agree, and I think that the trailer is definitely going to be an event. I definitely want to watch it with you, and I'm interested to see how they tee up the lead up to release.
I am too, and I'm excited to see the trailer.
Me too. You know who else is working on a tee up to release?
Who?
Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
Yesterday, again Monday, Disney Plus tweeted out a list of a lot of the content which will be available day one on November 15th or 12th. I should fact check that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's very soon. It's less than a month at this point. So for the Star Wars content available day one, they're going to have the saga films minus Solo and The Last Jedi, because those are still tied up with Netflix at the moment. Mm-hmm. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Rogue One, and the Clone Wars will be available.
Okay.
The Clone Wars series.
But only seasons 1 through 5, right?
As well as the Lost Missions, or whatever those are called.
Okay.
So the sequel, season 6. Right, that's what...
Right, okay, yeah.
They didn't call it season 6, they called it Clone Wars, the Lost Episodes, the Lost Missions, or something like that.
That was the gap that I was trying to figure out.
Okay. Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 1.
Cool.
Rebels.
Nice.
Season 1 of Resistance.
Okay.
Empire of Dreams, which is a documentary about the original trilogy.
That's a great documentary.
Which I'm very interested to watch.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for free.
You know what? I think I might have pulled a clip of that for a project I had to do once.
It's on YouTube in its entirety, like pretty good quality. I actually watched it like a week ago.
Nice. That's cool. Short review, is it good? Worth watching?
Oh, it's totally worth watching.
Yeah.
It goes through like George Lucas, just like his filmmaking career for like the first 30-ish minutes, and that's fascinating by itself.
Interesting. That actually might be on the special Blu-ray saga I have.
It might.
Because I have 2 bonus discs, so it might be on that.
It might.
And wrapping it all up, there are going to be 4 Lego Star Wars, either short series, films. I'm not sure what they are, but I don't think it's the original one. Remember when there was that original Lego Star Wars short film that was released on Cartoon Network when we were kids?
Yeah.
I don't think that one's included.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Do you know if this is new content?
The Lego series?
Yeah.
No, there's been a handful of
Okay.
Lego Star Wars bits they've put out, and I believe those are the ones they're pulling.
Okay.
I'm satisfied with all of this content for day one.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a little disappointed, I'll say, that some of the other legacy content is not going to be included.
Like,
For instance, Clone Wars. Because now is that just lost to time? Are they going to brand, not fan films, but like films surrounding Star Wars or series surrounding Star Wars that are productions involved with Lucasfilm? Are they just going to, for the ones that aren't canon, toss those out? Forget that they're going to be on streaming services? Are they going to label their own legends for film and television?
it seems as if that Disney wants to keep the continuity in their own canon.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at right now.
And if they were to throw it up on Disney Plus, even if they slapped like legends on it, it would confuse people.
You're probably right, because they have to be very, very specific with a lot of the ways they label things. And
like you and I would get it, but a general
right,
audience might not.
When it comes to film and TV, I think you're right, because there are books, and the books get labeled legends.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Not a lot of people reading books these days, you know?
Books? Never heard of them.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you. It is a bummer, because I do think there's a lot of interesting history with other Star Wars content, like Clone Wars, the holiday special, for instance, which I know they wish they could probably bury, but I think it's important to have all of the history there.
Yeah.
You know? Because where else are you going to find that? YouTube? Yeah. But like having it included in this, and who knows if they could down the line, but day one, this is what we're looking at.
I mean, maybe one day down the line they'll throw it on there.
Mm-hmm.
But like opening day for, that sounds silly for a streaming service, but like the first day that this is available, I don't think they would do.
They want people watching the Star Wars holiday special.
No, yeah, they want people watching like Disney Star Wars.
Yeah.
Or like canon Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure. Which leads me to my question about this.
Sure.
I saw this from either the Disney Plus Twitter account or the Star Wars Twitter account. They put out a poll. They were like, hey, what Star Wars content are you watching first on day one? I believe the leading answer was The Mandalorian, Season 1, Episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
But what about you? What are you going to bite into first?
I mean, I would be lying if I said anything other than The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, too.
Not to say that I'm not interested in other things, though. I haven't seen any of Resistance.
I haven't either.
And the art looks like so cool, like phenomenal.
It's very different as far as what we've gotten so far with Star Wars animation.
Yeah. And I've been like hearing super good things about it. And if, the first season's on Disney Plus, like, yeah, I'm going to watch that.
Yeah, give it a shot. Yeah, why not? I think as soon as I finish watching The Mandalorian, I might dive into the Clone Wars.
That's a good idea.
Because, I also worth mentioning to listeners or viewers, the Clone Wars wasn't released in like the right order, apparently.
It was not, no. And
there's guys out there. I would hope it would be nice if Disney Plus put them in the right order. I don't think that will happen.
I don't think that would happen. What would be cool is if they did it two ways. If they just like put it in the order that it was released, and then like maybe had like a separate tab for
like a playlist for like the order of what you're supposed to view them.
Yeah, like if you want to watch it chronologically, here's the playlist.
Yeah, so I have to find a write up of that. I know Jack sent me one, so I have to look into that.
They're floating around on the internet.
Yeah, I think Clone Wars is the thing I'm diving into like hardcore when Disney Plus launches.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like third on the list.
Yeah. And I'll do Rebels after, because I have seen an episode of Rebels. I've seen less Rebels than I have Clone Wars, but I liked it. So
I've seen all of Rebels, and it's phenomenal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that is going to do it for news this week. Like I said, light news week. But when we come back, we're going to take a short break. After that, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. See you in a second.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
War!
Yeah, seriously.
Welcome back. We are now going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. We've started every episode so far, every review so far, talking about the crawl.
Mm-hmm.
This crawl's a weird one.
Can I say something about this, crawl?
Sure, go for it.
So I watched this movie last night with my girlfriend, and she hadn't ever seen this movie before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, literally right when the first line like crossed the screen's like event horizon, she was like, "War," and I was like, "Yeah, it's Star Wars. Like, come on."
Yeah, because I mean, at the time, we only had Clone Wars.
Yeah.
To fill this gap.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie has a lot of catch up to do for the people that didn't see that.
Yeah.
We have to know what's going on. We got to know the state of the galaxy. And this crawl, more than any other, I'd say, really throws you in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting, I would say, that they never really mention the heroes until the very end, and they don't even name them, but they specifically name General Grievous, Dooku, and... Did they mention Palpatine?
I don't think they mentioned Palpatine.
Okay.
They might.
What I will say about the first paragraph is there are heroes on both sides. I was like, look, I know we're trying to like make a transitional movie here with this character, but heroes on both sides. Okay.
It sounds like kind of like Donald Trump.
All right.
Well, yeah, it's like there are heroes on both sides, evils everywhere. That was
the rest of the line. Yeah. Evils everywhere, which
it's just like it's such a platitude though.
Yeah.
It's so like broad. Like
yeah, I'm glad that at least this one's straightforward, you know.
Sure.
We're not dealing too much with politics. We're really ground level what's going on in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate. But after that we go into a sequence that has been emblazoned in my memory because of Lego Star Wars. The game.
Okay.
The dogfight.
Yeah.
That's the opening mission for episode 3 in the Lego Star Wars game.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's the opening of the film.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense.
I remember failing that level a lot. So like seeing that, I had memories to that game with this film. But I like that intro. I like that opening dogfight in space.
I think it's one of the coolest moments in Star Wars cinema. I just like how it shows that Republic starfight, Republic starship, and everything's like really quiet, and the Jedi starfighters like cross over, and then it's just like into like this absolute chaos.
Yeah, it's great. I really enjoy the ship design. I enjoy, like you said, like introducing us to the proto Star Destroyer, I guess.
Yeah,
that's a fun touch, and there's a lot of stuff like that in this film. Even the Jedi starfighters, in a way, are sort of proto TIE fighters because of the general shape and the windshield, I guess.
That's true. Also, the Jedi starfighters can't travel through hyperspace on their own.
Yeah, they need those rings from episode 2.
Right, and the TIE fighters are basically one of the only like single pilot ships in the original trilogy that can't go.
See, I never knew that. That's why I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. X-Wings can, but TIE fighters can't.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, so the dogfight is good. I think it shows George Lucas's doesn't he love World War II fighter pilots? He wanted to make a movie about that with the original.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so seeing him shoot this movie, and honestly, one of my biggest takeaways is a lot of the action scenes are very reminiscent of World War II films. And I know that was a deliberate choice he made with the ending fight of episode 2. He wanted to shoot it. It was all CG, but he wanted to frame it in a way that was like World War II documentaries. And I think that's why we were very attached to the clone fight at the end of episode 2, because it did have that foot in reality based on things we've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So the action across the board for the actual fighting scenes, the battles, I really liked all of them.
Yeah.
But the dogfight is a standout.
The dogfight I like especially because it does a good job showing us Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want to go there right now.
Yeah, let's go for it.
But you know, there's the time gap between episode 2 and episode 3 is like significant.
Yeah.
And things happen and they get closer with one another, which really only it just builds to a good payoff at the end of this movie, I think. And it shows us that they're brothers.
Yeah.
They love each other. They care for one another.
Mm-hmm.
And they work well together as a team.
See, I wish have the knowledge of the Clone Wars series going into episode 3
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I would feel that more than being told that, you know?
Yeah. Do you think it tells you that, though? I feel like it does a good job showing you it.
Well, jumping to the end, Obi-Wan has that line, "You are my brother."
Right. Okay.
I don't fully buy it. I buy it a lot because of Ewan's performance there and his delivery, but their relationship throughout the first act of the film, because that's really when they're only together, I don't necessarily buy. I think it's better than it is in Attack of the Clones
Okay.
because it's less him talking down to Anakin. It's more of like, we're kind of on the same page here.
Yeah.
But there were just so many choices, I think, for the way they tell this story of Anakin's downfall that make me think if Obi-Wan was truly on that level with him, he would have seen it coming, or he would have stepped in. And if the excuse is that, hey, the council said Obi-Wan should go take care of General Grievous,
Yeah.
and because of that, that's where everything fell apart.
Yeah.
It's like, I get you're telling a story, but I feel like there could have been a more not impactful or realistic way, but like it just seems very convenient.
Yeah.
That Palpatine gets in his ear. And again, this could have been his chance to get in his ear, but like Obi-Wan being gone, if one person was there, they could have just said one thing to Anakin and it would have switched things around. I feel like that's not a great way to tell the story of Anakin falling to the dark side, where it could be so easily fixed.
Yeah. I would say, I would like to push back a little bit on
Okay.
that and say, I would consider that maybe Obi-Wan never saw this coming.
Okay.
Because he was so wrapped up in that dogmatic view of the Jedi.
Okay.
And that's a big thing in the movie, that Anakin starts to reject that,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts to feel betrayed by that,
Mm-hmm.
and he starts to feel betrayed by Obi-Wan
Yes.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I'm just thinking it through right now. Maybe Obi-Wan was so loyal to the Jedi that he just like didn't consider that could ever happen to his Padawan.
Mm-hmm. It is interesting, I guess, too, because now when we get into this film, Obi-Wan, and I don't think he was in Attack of the Clones, but he's a full member of the Jedi Council.
Obi-Wan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's sitting in that circle.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't think he was in 2.
I don't know. It's confusing because I'm not sure if he was just a Jedi Knight in 2 or if he was a Master yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But
know.
yeah, he's definitely on the Council in this movie.
Yeah, so I guess what that says is sort of like seeing some of the sarcasm from Qui-Gon being passed down to Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan still, like you said, follows the Jedi Order, and he's like, that's his life,
Right.
where he accepts it where his master didn't, and he's a member of the Council.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that side of it for sure. With Palpatine and Anakin's relationship, though, which I think springs off of that, I feel like the Palpatine arc kind of just happens.
Isn't it kind of just supposed to, though?
Yes, but I feel like it's just kind of going from one scene to the next of like what needs to happen is happening, and there's no real reasoning for it other than Palpatine pulling the strings, which I get, but none of that is really conveyed well. Because one of the questions I wrote down, there's the visions of Padme that Anakin sees. One, are they caused by Palpatine to manipulate Anakin? 2, how much is Palpatine actually controlling for all of this to work out the way he's wanting it to work out? Like, is he the one who, like, when he set up that assault on Padme's life in episode 2, was he sending Anakin because he knew they would fall in love and have a child? Was that his foresight? Like, how deep in the weeds is he here? Is he the one that was like, I get that he's been commanding the separatists, both sides of the war. I get that. Mm-hmm. More so on this rewatch of the prequels than I ever have.
Mm-hmm.
But like the level of, does he control everything? Like every single thing, even the things we don't see him directly involved with?
I don't know. And I would say just like gut reaction, yes.
Okay. Because I would believe it.
Yeah. I would say gut reaction, yes, but I also think that also doesn't mean that there aren't wrenches thrown in his plan either. if you remember right in the beginning of this movie, he wants Anakin to go to Utapau.
Yes.
He's like pushing hard for that to happen, but the Jedi Council doesn't let it happen.
Right.
And they send Obi-Wan instead.
Yes.
So I don't know, like maybe he even foresaw that too.
Yeah, like I was just gonna counter with that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have no idea.
And I think us not knowing isn't a case of Star Wars being mystical like it can be. I think it's more of a case of the level of control Palpatine has over the very straightforwardness of this arc of falling to the dark side conflicting with each other.
Okay.
And that's how I viewed it this time.
Yeah. I mean, I've always viewed it as though Palpatine has just been pulling the strings and he just knows what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Very bold Palpatine, because within the first 5 minutes of seeing him in this movie, he says, "Kill him and leave your master." It's like, dude, calm down.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, he gets through to Anakin on one of those.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
But like, that's a lot for the first 20 minutes of this movie. This dude's already trying to do this much. It's like, man, I get where we're going, but like, chill out for a second.
Yeah, I don't know how Anakin I don't know how he got to Anakin in that moment. It doesn't make that doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
Like Anakin just threw away like years of training.
Yeah.
Just over like do it.
Yeah, I love Ian McDermott, but some of his delivery in this movie is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, the faces that he makes too.
Yeah. The one specifically is no. That one's insane.
There's a moment when Anakin and Count Dooku are fighting, and he's like, "Get."
Yeah,
And it's
why
just
did
like,
that
what
happen?
is that?
Yeah, they cut to him and he's like looking. He's like trying to like look up. He's like, eh.
Yeah.
So many weird choices.
So weird.
The scene with Mace Windu though that I just mentioned with the no,
Mm.
I think is a perfect example of how too far George Lucas went in some cases with green screen sets. Because I don't think his office looks very good at all.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of Coruscant, as opposed to what I've said praising Coruscant in the last 2 episodes, I think a lot of Coruscant is like, ugh.
Okay. I think it was, honestly, I think the indoor scenes of Coruscant were worse in episode 2.
Interesting.
I think that obviously that it's all blue screen too
Yeah.
here in episode 3, but
I think the biggest standout is when the window breaks and you see that depth of the office and then the city. I don't think that's done well. And I think that's what messes with me.
okay.
Also the lighting when the window breaks, like it doesn't really change at all, which I get it's a window, but like you're going to have some sort of slight subtleties changing. But like I get it's an earlier film in this digital revolution, but I do think the over-reliance of the prequels in CG is the most present in this one, and I think because of that, it does have the most moments that stand out to me.
In a bad way.
Yes.
Okay.
Another example is when they're going to rescue Chancellor Palpatine. I think this is the worst in the movie. They open that elevator, and there's all those droids there, and they just, like, there's, like, no depth. It's so weird. I can try and, like, find a clip of it or something, but they open the elevator, and in a moment that you think is going to be this cool thing of them just wiping out this elevator full of droids, it looks like they're just like taking cobwebs off of stuff with a broom. It looks so weird.
There is a weird thing that I've noticed in this rewatch that we did of the prequels that I also saw in that exact scene. There are some moments where there are lightsabers that are fighting battle droids, but it's like shot from a POV angle.
Yeah.
And it's like this like either green or blue like light that just goes from one side of the screen to the other.
Yeah.
And it just looks unnatural.
No, I agree. Like, I think there's another example of that when Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting and they do like some of the close-ups on their faces. And like the way the lightsaber moves just looks weird. Yeah. You know, and it's like, you didn't need to do that. But
and another thing though, I would say that some of the CG moments do look really good though.
Like I was saying before with the battles.
Yeah. Like
every battle I think looks fantastic.
Like, whoa.
Yeah.
For 2005.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
For sure.
Like that opening battle specifically, I was watching it and I was like, this came out in 2005?
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cases of CG looking incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
Most of them are when 90% of what's on screen is CG.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd say there's more impressive aspects of CG in this film than there are negatives. It's just the ones that are negatives stand out to me because, like I said, there's way more CG in this one than the other two.
Yeah, there is.
We touched on this briefly. Is Anakin just an idiot? Is he just dumb?
What do you mean?
Because there were several moments, key moments, of him falling or like considering options of the dark side, where if he thought about it for like another 10 seconds, I think he would have realized what was going on.
Yeah.
And I understand, totally get, it's because he loves Padme. This is why he's doing this. This is why he's going down this path. But like you said with episode 2, their relationship really needed to work.
Yeah.
And as much as I really liked a couple of their conversations, and there was another one in this one, I liked most of their conversation of her on the balcony when he was like, "Oh, I love you because you're beautiful." And then she was like, "So I'm only good because I'm beautiful," or something like that.
Yeah.
Like some back and forth there.
Is that the one when she was like brushing her hair and he's
Yeah.
just like looking at her like a creep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever her retort was to what he said, I liked a lot. But yeah, I definitely think, again, I don't blame Natalie Portman, but
No.
there's a layer of stiltedness still that pulls me out of believing his fall.
Sure. I think it's a little believable because this character is just like so infatuated with Padme.
Based on what we've seen in 1, 2, and 3, yes.
And I think that comes through regardless of whether or not like their relationship works on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell that the character is written to just like absolutely adore Padme.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man, like love makes you do crazy things.
It does.
And he wants to save her life. Like he had premonitions of his mom dying, and
yeah, and I liked that. I like that he has the visions, and it's kind of funny because like I feel like I remember a complaint for either 7 or 8 about a Force vision being like, there's no precedent for this, but twice now.
Force visions there are a lot of them.
They're a thing.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like I'm being critical about this movie, but I really enjoy Revenge of the Sith. It's one of my favorites.
It is one of my favorites as well.
And I think Anakin is the best here that he has been in the prequel so far.
Totally.
And I think Hayden Christensen does a more believable performance. As far as everything goes, it is still stilted, but I think the way something changed between 2 and 3. And I think he's more comfortable in this stage of Anakin than he was in episode 2. And I think because of that, I'm more willing to buy into what we've been talking about, the reasons you've been giving about why stuff should be working.
I mean, I just think, and I would imagine that when George Lucas was directing this movie, he was probably telling Hayden Christensen, like, hey, like, this is where you are as a character, like, for lack of a better word, like, you're a badass.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a hero.
Yeah.
And let it get to your head.
Yeah.
Like, act that way. And he kind of does.
Yeah, I think
Like,
the feeling betrayal by the Jedi Order, I think, is one of the best things for Hayden Christensen's character in this entire series. Because as far as the range we've seen him give, that the reaction he has to that and the turmoil he goes through of dealing with that, I think is well within his range of being, as far as with his character, whiny, entitled,
yep.
and feeling betrayed.
Mm-hmm.
So I did buy that part. I did feel his arc of feeling betrayed by the Jedi Order. I bought.
Yeah.
Totally bought that.
I mean, I think it really just gets solidified in that scene where he's like, where Mace Windu's like, you're on the council, but you're not a master.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's outrageous.
Yeah.
It's unfair.
So I do think maybe I would have liked it a little more if they framed Palpatine's like hook in Anakin more about, I can give you the recognition you deserve.
Sure.
Because he did touch on it briefly of like the Jedi are corrupt. They're trying to overthrow the Senate. Yeah. They want to kill me. There's a plot. They're plotting. So I know he leaned into that aspect of it. But if he did lean into Anakin's hubris with the Jedi more so than his love for Padme and just being like, oh, and if you do get recognized, you're going to have all this power so you can save whoever you want. I feel like that might have been a slightly better way to frame it.
Mm-hmm.
But I still enjoy what we have.
There was a moment in this movie that I had never noticed before.
What's up?
It was the scene right after Anakin tells Mace Windu that Palpatine is a Sith Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And he's in the Jedi Council chamber,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like looking out over the sunset, and he's crying.
Mm-hmm.
And like they kind of juxtapose that with Padme, right?
Yeah.
And he hears Palpatine say, "If you let them get to me, you'll never be able to save Padme."
Yes, I like that a lot.
And I had never noticed that before. I literally never noticed that before.
I think in that moment, and just Anakin being alone, and I honestly kind of one of the better uses of, we're dipping into film stuff, mise en scène. Anakin is alone physically in this Jedi Council room, where he feels if the Jedi Council were there, he would still feel alone. So I like that aspect of it, him being introspective there.
It's deep.
Yeah. George Lucas, good job, man.
Yeah.
And then sort of having a connection to Padme, at least the way they present it, across the streets of Coruscant.
Just the vast expanse.
Mm-hmm. And then Palpatine reaching out at that moment, like talking, like whispering in his ear, literally. I like that, and I think that is a good moment to sort of flip the switch.
Totally.
Because once they do flip the switch, as mixed as I am about how we get there, once they do flip the switch, I'm like in. I'm so in.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, go to town, Anakin. Like, just do everything. Feel bad about killing Mace Windu indirectly, but like, yeah, go for it. Just go do whatever Palpatine's telling you to do.
Right.
I'm into that part of the movie.
Yeah.
What do you think, I guess, about once Anakin switches, once he becomes Darth Vader? Do you think that it's believable? Like, how does this portrayal of Darth Vader pre-suit impact your thoughts on Vader overall?
That's an interesting question. I think it still shows that Darth Vader is not 100%, like, he hasn't committed himself fully to the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
We have the scene where he storms into the Jedi Temple and he kills the younglings, and bad guy.
If you couldn't hear that, my eyes glazed over.
Yeah, literally, I saw them roll back in Christian's head. No,
Yeah.
But then he goes to Mustafar and he kills all of the separatists, and there are a lot of scenes where like he just looks really distraught about it all.
Yeah,
and he's crying,
mm-hmm.
and I think that adds a lot of depth to Darth Vader, because at that point Anakin's dead, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
He's obviously still conflicted, and
Yeah.
I think it adds a lot, especially, and I don't want to like jump too far ahead, but like the payoff at the end of Return of the Jedi. It makes sense.
I will say that you turned around my opinion on that a little bit, hearing you say that. Because when I asked you that question, the way I was standing was, it kind of softens Darth Vader for me,
Mm-hmm.
where, especially the moment when we get the suit, and he's talking about Padme and like feeling emotions, hearing that sentiment come out of Darth Vader as I know him in Episode 4, at least visually.
Yeah.
Ties it to the arc of Anakin and my dissatisfaction with a lot of his relationship with Padme, and a lot of the things that bog down Anakin
Mm-hmm.
kind of get attached for me to bog down Darth Vader.
Sure. Okay.
But I like what you said as far as making him feel more conflicted, because I did notice there were moments where it's the close-up cuts, the moment when you see the Sith eyes in Anakin, you do see like a dry tear on his face.
Yep.
So I appreciate that, and I think you putting it into context of Darth Vader's arc makes me like it more.
I mean, I think it has to be put in that context.
Yeah, I don't think I was thinking it that way.
And I mean, like, I know we don't want to jump ahead, but it's like super hard not to.
Yeah.
The visual of Darth Vader, and we see Darth Vader in his suit in this movie, so it's not like we're jumping too far ahead.
Yeah.
It's menacing, and
Mm-hmm.
and you don't think that this thing has any like emotion.
Yeah.
But when Anakin Skywalker proper dies,
Mm-hmm.
and when in that scene with Mace Windu, and Darth Vader is born, Anakin Skywalker still hasn't really died.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's still there,
Mm-hmm.
and we see that.
Okay. I'm with you now. I think you made a good point. I think you have a good case on this. because I think you also, like, backing that up, when I do watch the originals, I'm not thinking about I hate sand when I see Darth Vader on screen. So I think you have a good point. There's a portion of this movie we haven't really talked about yet, about Obi-Wan Kenobi and his little adventure in this one.
To Utapau.
Yeah. He had a little adventure in 2. He has another adventure in 3.
I love the Obi-Wan adventures.
Me too. They're kind of my favorite part of both of these movies, man.
He just does such cool stuff.
Yeah. General Grievous, who, like we said earlier, was introduced in Star Wars Clone Wars, gives a reason for him having a cough.
Right.
I like that back and forth. I think General Grievous and his role he plays here is interesting. It's very Star Warsy because it's like, oh, who's the thing this time? It's General Grievous. He's a cool design. He's a cool guy. He's got 4 lightsabers instead of the 2.
Yeah. Mysterious background.
Yeah. Not really touched upon. Do you like General Grievous?
I have to say, when I first saw this movie, like as a child,
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say, I love this thing.
No, I was not really into it.
Okay.
I was just kind of like, oh, like Star Wars has to have, like every Star Wars movie has to have like a bad guy, I
Yeah.
guess. You know what I mean? And this is the one that's going to be this time.
Yeah.
But like as I get older and like I watch them, it kind of just like makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, I think where you're coming from, seeing Palpatine have this grasp over everything, General Grievous is important because he's part of that.
Yeah.
And that, I think for this show, for watching the prequels, that is my biggest takeaway from these prequels that I've never really touched on much or like thought much about.
Yeah.
Palpatine did everything.
Oh.
And you know what? Yeah. I'm just going to go with you. Even the stuff that I can't explain, yeah, he did it.
And I think that's kind of what you're supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're kind of just supposed to be like, I don't know how that happened, but it did.
Yeah.
Like
the easiest way to write around Deus Ex Machina, make Palpatine a character in Star Wars.
I mean, seriously though,
Yeah.
it works.
It does work, yeah.
And it makes
contextually.
It makes sense within the framework of the movie.
Yeah.
And the story.
Yeah.
General Grievous, I also like I just like how much he absolutely despises the Jedi.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
Yeah, so I just think that's a cool thing. He's just so outward about it.
Yeah.
It's like Jedi scum.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So the Utapau trip is fun.
Yeah.
It's cool to see Obi-Wan take down someone like General Grievous by himself. You know, because like comparing, he struggled with Jango Fett. He struggled heavily with Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And seeing him sort of come into his own, and this is his moment to shine in this saga. In all 6 of these, him going toe-to-toe with a dude wielding 4 lightsabers. He holds his own, he kills him. Solid moment for him.
Yeah, not only does he kill him, he just like absolutely embarrasses him.
Incinerates him.
Yeah.
What do you think of the, when he was like, oh, uncivilized? What do you think of that?
I think it's great.
Okay.
I think anything Obi-Wan says in this movie is awesome.
Yeah. He's my favorite character. I love everything he does.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor, like,
Can't wait to see more of him.
yeah, I think he's the perfect Obi-Wan.
For sure. Yoda on Kashyyyk, the Wookiees, Chewbacca. I like that battle scene in the water.
Sure.
That was one of the ones when I was talking earlier about the World War II imagery.
Yeah.
Feel it heavy on Kashyyyk. I would not be surprised if George Lucas has some quote about this scene being his D-Day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like storming the beaches of Normandy, basically.
Not comparing it to something that has literally touched on that, like Saving Private Ryan, because obviously you can't compare those two things.
Right.
But as far as in-universe, the imagery here made me think of that.
Yeah.
The rafts going in, the droid battleships. I like how some of the droid ships are basically just droids. They're drones. Yeah. You know, because there's no pilot. It's just the pilot is the ship.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool touch.
I think it is too. I just don't like. I think it visually looks really, really neat. But it doesn't really have that much of a payoff in terms of the story. Like, Yoda just ends up leaving. And
the entire scene.
Yeah, like why are they fighting? Like who? Like I guess it doesn't really matter like who wins.
Yeah,
but like it's not explained. Like Ki-Adi-Mundi, like on the Jedi Council, he's like, "What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?"
Yeah,
and it's like, but like why? Like what's happening there?
Honestly, I think it's just kind of because again at this time we didn't have Clone Wars to fill out this gap.
Yeah.
I think it's just the film's way of conveying the fact that the galaxy's at war,
Right.
and that's why it exists.
Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan does have that throwaway line. It's like, oh, that's a star system that we can't afford to lose.
Yes.
But like, why is it like why? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. What's your opinion on Chewbacca being in this movie?
I'm like very neutral about it.
Me too.
He doesn't. It's not like in your face.
Yeah.
So
It's kind of strange that Yoda knows Chewbacca. Like
Yeah.
how?
I just like the line where he's like, "Thank you, Chewbacca. Miss you, I will."
Yeah, because they never see each other again
Yeah,
that we know of.
I guess not. No.
Yeah. There's a few, I guess, general Star Wars concepts that occur in this movie that I'd like to bring up.
Sure.
One, I wrote down the specific quote under my phone. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me get this out for you.
Pull it up.
So this is after the Yoda and Palpatine battle,
Okay.
which I know you didn't like Yoda flexing on Dooku in the last one. How do you feel about this one?
Anytime Yoda shows up on screen with the lightsaber, I'm out.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it.
Okay. I see why. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the setting of this is cool. Like the set in Chambers, like
Mhm.
that's a really cool. That's a really cool setting for it. And I would like to amend the statement saying, anytime Yoda or Palpatine shows up on screen with the lightsaber, count me out. I'm not interested.
Okay. Yoda, after that battle scene, after he's defeated, makes his escape with Senator Organa.
Mm-hmm.
Yoda says,
Jimmy Smith's baby.
"Into exile I must go, failed I have." That's a statement I would just like to keep in mind for a later date.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
All right. Fair enough.
So another scene I'd like to bring up is the transformation scene. Well, do you want to talk about the battle first, or do you want to dive into a quick little note I have about Vader?
Which battle are we talking about?
Anakin versus Obi-Wan.
Oh, well, whatever you want to do first.
We can go through that first.
Okay, sure.
Good. Like, it's good.
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's cool. Like, I hate to just be that surface level about it,
Mm-hmm.
but like it just is, you know.
Yeah, the entire thing on Mustafar, like seeing Anakin go and kill the Separatists, I think, like what we talked about with it, it served its purpose. And then when Obi-Wan shows up, sneaking on Padme's ship, that entire encounter, like, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, visually, it's interesting, I guess. It's a new planet. We've never seen lava in Star Wars before. It's a very visceral, not even visceral. Visceral is not the right word for this. It's very, like, it's an in-depth lightsaber fight. We haven't seen anything on that scale for a lightsaber fight yet.
Well, I mean, it's like It's like Apex Jedi versus Apex
Yeah.
Jedi, like at the top of their game.
You get that moment where they're both using the Force and neither of them move because they're equals.
Yeah.
At this point in time.
Right.
It's a fight. Like, I feel like I don't have anything interesting to say about it because I don't know if it does anything super interesting.
It kind of plays it safe.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think that that's a deterrent.
It's not. That's why I said it's good.
Yeah.
You know?
I especially like the conversation that they have
That's my favorite part of it.
immediately before. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little bit too expository for my liking.
Mhm.
It's kind of just like, hey, if you haven't been paying attention, like I think the Jedi are evil. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I was thinking about a separate part.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about the conversation they have like mid-fight where he's like, "Then you're truly lost" on the lava floaties.
I mean that too.
Yeah, that is my favorite part of the fight.
Okay.
But I do like the conversation beforehand, even for how direct and deliberate it is of Chancellor Palpatine's evil. Like, yeah, like having that back and forth, seeing like before we get into this fight, seeing that Obi-Wan is like, I know he probably wants to save Anakin, but like that conversation, like nail in the coffin, he's lost.
Right.
So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
But as far as being an action fight scene, a lot of the thing that's riding on is the fact that they're gonna show down again later on. For me,
Yeah.
that most of what I'm carrying is the weight and I guess emotion from Ewan McGregor through this prequel trilogy is what is I have an attachment to in this fight.
Sure. Yeah.
So seeing him like really just look broken and distraught for those conversations mid, before, and after.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite parts. Those are the most interesting things for me, because the lightsaber fight, I don't think it goes on too long, but like you said, they play it safe kind of.
I would say that, it does show how broken Obi-Wan is.
Yeah.
And he carries that emotion through.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, honestly, you don't see that from Anakin because you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
And he's fully committed to the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, I think that hesitation that we were talking about earlier went out the window when he choked Padme.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I wasn't expecting Anakin to show emotion. I was just, I don't know. I think something that made it feel less flashy and more like this is an intense thing between two people that have this extensive relationship together. Yeah. I think the music does a lot for it. I love when they get Duel of the Fates sprinkled in there a little bit.
The music in this movie is
amazing.
Music in all the movies are phenomenal, but this one is great.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good themes in this one.
Yeah.
I wish Duel of the Fates lasted a little more, because I really think it's a great piece, and just having that as a recurring theme throughout the trilogy, even though it was, leaning into it a little more would have been cool.
Right.
Especially since this kind of is the Duel of the Fates more so than that original one ever was.
Right.
But, yeah.
I would like to say, in terms of the score of this movie, which is awesome, my favorite track is I think it's called on the actual soundtrack, the immolation scene, is when Anakin is burning. And it's just like so like heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Played underneath Obi-Wan like crying.
Breaking down, yeah.
Yeah, like, and that's just such a powerful moment in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's iconic.
And it shows that these movies are really just about the people, man.
I think if that moment at the end of the fight didn't land as strong as it does, then the rest of the movie and the fight would have been like a wet towel thrown over all of this.
Yeah.
Because I think that moment, and again, props to Ewan McGregor for carrying this. But
Seriously.
the moment between them, him breaking down, you were my brother, you were the chosen one, I hate you. That entire back and forth, I think, really makes that all worth it.
I agree.
And then we get the 20-minute ending, which I don't have a problem with. I'm like comfy at this point. Props again to George Lucas. I thought the pacing in this movie was good.
I was gonna say, I think this movie out of the three that we've watched,
he got it.
the best pacing.
Yeah, for sure.
Things happen just like one after another, and you're not like sitting there and you're not like, okay, like when is this pod racing gonna end?
Yeah, or like cutting for a line of dialogue, or I think the amount of time that we need for each progression of each plot, almost perfect.
Yeah.
So good job.
Never bored in this movie.
Yeah, and I think this is the longest prequel.
Is it?
It's 220.
It really doesn't feel like
I
it.
know.
Yeah.
That was another one of my takeaways. It was like, hey, this movie's like longer than the other two, but I'm not bored. I'm not checking what time it is.
How much of that do you think has to just how much of that do you think is just, more stuff happens in this movie and they have to get through it?
I really don't know. Because I do think a lot of stuff happened in episode 2, but it was just executed poorly.
Okay.
And I think that's why 2 felt so long for me. A lot of stuff, and I would say more stuff happens in this one as well, as far as where we need to go. But I do think a lot of it comes down to the pacing.
Fair.
So,
I'd like to say that just the overall dialogue in this movie, the interactions between characters, it feels more natural.
Okay. I still think Anakin and Padme have like a weird Romeo and Juliet Shakespearean thing with the way they talk to each other.
Yeah. They don't really talk to each other that much in this movie, though.
Yeah, it's still like, it's weird because like Anakin talking to Obi-Wan feels natural.
Yeah.
Anakin talking to Padme, it's like, what is this?
I think that's mostly just George Lucas being like trying to be Shakespearean about it.
Okay, I'll settle on that. like you said, there's a lot in this movie, and I feel like there's a lot that we're not going to be able to cover as far as intricacies go.
Right.
The moment I did want to mention that I also thought was a nice subtle touch was when we get the reveal of Darth Vader. When we're finishing up this film, the way that James Earl Jones delivers his lines, I like a lot because he's speaking in the cadence of Hayden Christensen.
Yep. Yep.
I never noticed that.
It's really well done.
It is, yeah. And it honestly was probably as simple as Hayden, read these lines. Okay, James, listen to them, sync it up in the VO booth. It was probably that simple, right. And I'm sure that's how they did it.
Yeah.
But they definitely didn't need to do that, and I thought it was very good as far as merging these two characters together, which, as you showed me earlier, is a good thing.
I don't know if you know this, and you might, but that scene where Anakin gets the Darth Vader suit for the very first time, and he gets like, risen up, and he's talking to Palpatine, and he like takes off the he like stumbles out. That's not like that's Hayden Christensen in the suit. And they did that on purpose because he wanted.
I can tell.
Yeah, he wanted it to look like on screen that Anakin has never been in the suit before.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's like, he doesn't know how it works, and he's awkward, and he's like, okay. This is a thing that I've never been in before, and so they had Hayden Christensen actually film that scene, and he had never been in the suit like in real life before that moment.
Okay. All right.
That's just a fun little tidbit.
I'll take that because at first I was like, this is a skinny looking Vader. Like, he's a short looking Vader. He's a little weakling looking. But I guess context of Anakin just getting to the suit, losing half his body.
Yeah, being awkward in it and stuff.
Yeah. I'll go with it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
It does, yeah. I think it's a nice little homage to Frankenstein, too, which is like another thing George Lucas has talked about.
Oh, really?
Of coming to life and just like ripping off the binds and like stumbling out. I like that.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about the no cheesy line.
We just did.
Yeah, it's bad.
That's all we needed.
It's really bad.
There's a lot of prequel memes, I think, that are found in episode 3 more than the others.
Yeah.
So it's treason then. Yeah, there's a lot in this movie that's, again, good, but I pretty much have said my piece on it.
Yeah, I just like this movie a lot. If you can't tell already.
I do too. I don't need to pull out my phone for this ranking because, again, I know it.
Me too.
Yeah. Would you like to go first for your ranking?
Sure. What am I starting from? The top?
Start from the bottom.
Okay, so from the bottom, Attack of the Clones, Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith.
I respect it. My ranking is Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith.
Wow, it's like in order.
Yeah. For the longest time, I always thought they got better as they went on. Still kind of think that. I have more nostalgia for episode 1, but I think 1 and 2 are fine. 3 is good. That's where I'm going to stand.
Right. I just really like 3.
Yeah, 3, I think, feels a certain way that none of the other films do. In a very nice way.
Yeah.
Because for the time, this was the modern take on Star Wars. And I think it did that. It achieved being the modern take on Star Wars better than episode 1 and 2 did.
I always hate to say like the whole nostalgia thing, but it really impacts my ranking. And there's nothing I can do to not have it impact my ranking. And this movie, I just literally grew up with, like, I don't know. And I'm sure it was the same with you too, but like.
It's actually interesting. I didn't see episode 3 for a while.
Oh, really?
Episode 1 and 2, I saw more. I think still to this day, I've seen episodes 1 and 2 more than episode 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't see episode 3 for maybe a couple years after it came out.
Wow.
But when I did see it, I was like, oh, this is good.
So the thing with me, and I'm not going to go too far into this, but this is the first Star Wars movie that I can remember, like, the lead up to and, like, the hype to. This came out when I was like in the second grade, and I remember I had to get like some surgery done, and my dad was trying to cheer me up, so he bought me like a Time magazine with like Darth Vader. It was like a cover story about
Nice.
about Revenge of the Sith, and I was like hyped, and that's just a memory that I have.
Nice.
But yes, I remember the lead up to this. I remember watching it in the theaters.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just remembered something.
yeah.
I wanted to run this by you. I don't think this is worth dedicating Fire the Cannon to, but
Okay.
did you ever play Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith for the PS2 or PC or Xbox?
Hell yeah.
One, I still have the box for that game. I don't own any of my PS2 games anymore, but I do have a few of the boxes still. I have that one, and I have Battlefront 2's box.
Yeah.
That game was a lot of fun. Did you ever get the alternate ending to this game? For viewers, if you're not familiar with the Episode 3 game, I don't know. This was a LucasArts game, correct?
I played the crap out of this game.
Okay.
I loved this game.
Yeah. But like LucasArts signed off on this.
Uh-huh.
This is their game.
Oh yeah.
So there's an option for the final fight on Mustafar where if you do this certain thing, I forget what it is, but you get an option or you get a bonus ending or you get an alternate ending where I think Anakin gets the high ground first or he achieves what he wanted to do.
Something like that, yeah.
And he kills Obi-Wan, and then Anakin leaves Obi-Wan to die, meets up with Sidious, gets knighted as Darth Vader, looking like Anakin Skywalker, and gets his red lightsaber. I don't know what happens to Padme, but
Yeah, I mean that it's an ending.
yeah, it's an ending.
Yeah, I don't see how that would really fit in because it fundamentally changes
Everything, yeah.
everything. But
I'd be interested to see like an alternate take though of like what if anything does that change?
yeah, what happens after that?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah. So I'm glad I remembered that because that was something I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, no, we need a Star Wars multiverse so we can
Yeah,
we can
man.
explore that alternate timeline.
So that is going to wrap up episode 3 of Jedi Knights and episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith.
Finish the prequels.
Yes, we did. So, well, technically,
Yeah, technically.
next week we have another prequel, but not the prequels.
Finish
Next
the
week,
prequel trilogy.
Yes, okay. Next week we will be reviewing, ranking, and viewing Solo, A Star Wars Story, which, fun fact, I have never seen.
What?
I've never seen Solo.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's like on Netflix and stuff.
I know. And then when I got the idea for this show, I was like, you know what? I think it'll be interesting if I go into the show and the episode having not seen the film.
Very interesting.
So I've been holding out.
Can I ask you why?
Just came out at a bad time.
Okay.
Like I saw Infinity War, I saw Deadpool 2, and I was like, that's my movie money for the month. Sorry, Solo.
Interesting.
So I'm interested. I like Donald Glover.
Yeah.
So
I'm really, I'm interested to see what you have to think about this movie.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But Mike, if anyone would like to follow you and your endeavors online, where can they find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris N. Buckley. If you're watching this, you're on youtube.com/joyclicks. If you're listening to this, you're probably on Spotify or Apple Podcasts because the show's available on there if you did not know. And the links to those are in the description, as well as the link to patreon.com/joyclicks, where if you so choose, you can help fund the shows.
Yeah, if we get to $1,000 per month, if we get to $50 per month, I will do a show in my underwear.
Below the table.
I will do the show in my underwear.
You'll never know.
You'll never know.
There is a $50 tier, though, for 10 slots. If you want to do support at $50, you get a bunch of little goodies worth checking the website out for, as well as being mentioned in our break of this podcast, any other podcast we produce, with a short little message of your choosing, as long as I approve it.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining me, Mike.
Oh, yeah. As always, it's a pleasure.
I'm happy talking about episode 3 because it is a good movie. Finally, we're in the good movies now, I think.
We're starting to get into the swing of things here.
Next week is Solo, like I said. And until then, we're fine. Everything's fine. How are you? That's a Solo line. Han said it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. May the force be with you.
See ya.
General Kenobi.